What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. We are finally down to the last film in the John Wick series right before we go see John Wick Chapter 4, which I am very excited to check out. With John Wick Chapter 3, we pick up right where the last film ended. John Wick has been excommunicado from the Continental, and now he is on the run from assassins trying to hunt him down, trying to right his wrongs. And boy, the only thing that I have to say about this movie is one word. Book. When people talk about John Wick Chapter 2, they bring up the pencil scene. For me, whenever I talk about John Wick Chapter 3, the book. But with John Wick Chapter 3, we have Chad Stahelski coming back to the franchise, directing this film again. And boy, does he make this film very imaginative, creative, and expansive. Not only do you see the same beats that you see in the past two films, but what makes me attracted to the John Wick series is the expansion of the world. The fact that we have all these new worlds, but also mixed in with a lot of stylized action, and that is what this film series is basically going for. It goes for that stylized action, and not only that, but it infuses different type of action sequences, and this is one of the most creative and expansive film in the series that we have so far. We're going to see what happens with John Wick Chapter 4, but I have no doubt that film is going to expand the world a little bit more. In this film, we have Agent Kate Dillon, who basically feels like the great powerful Oz behind the curtains of the Continental. She's basically the one that makes everything run. She's basically Winston's hired boss, and what she brings to the table, no pun intended, is absolutely fantastic. She is somebody that does not give a rat's ass about what you do. She will do the very best that she possibly can to get what she wants, and she does it very well. She's a very strong antagonist, and every single time that she's on screen, you do feel a bit of that intensity. You feel the passion that she has for this place, and what they do with the Continental at the end, where you have the Continental that is basically a safe haven for assassins, but once she brings down the walls and makes everything personal and you're able to do your business on the Continental ground, that is something that I absolutely loved about this movie, and it made for a fantastic grand finale. Does it go on for a little bit too long? Just a tad bit, but just the way the cinematography and the look of that final fight looks, it's absolutely fantastic. Plus, everything that you see in that room of mirrors, it is absolutely fantastic and very mesmerizing. You're basically drawn to everything that happens in that scene, and that's what Chad Stahelski is able to do with this film series. He's able to bring you into the world of John Wick and basically try to expand it the very best way that you possibly can. You don't go into this film expecting Shakespeare, but you do expect some great action sequences, and that is what this film delivers, especially when you have that fantastic opening where John Wick has basically 30 minutes to get to a safe haven, trying to do everything that he possibly can before the time runs out. And once the time runs out and you just see everybody going at him, there's a lot of great fight sequences. The one thing that I loved about that action sequences, about that first opening, is the fact that basically for the majority of that fight there is no dialogue. There's just a lot of action and great music, and that is something that I absolutely loved about this movie. Ian McShane comes back as Winston, and he absolutely destroys it. He's not in the film as much, but he plays a bigger role in this movie than I thought that he was going to play when I first saw this film. In this film, he kind of feels like he's kind of the negotiator just a little bit, and he plays a vital role in this movie that I absolutely loved. Halle Berry is the newcomer in this movie, and she is absolutely dynamic. Not only is she stunningly beautiful, but she kicks so much ass in this movie for the very small role that she has in this movie. But whenever she's on screen, she absolutely kills it. She is fantastic. I wish she had a little bit more screen time and a little bit more of a screen presence in this movie. But what we get from her and her dogs, chef's kiss. Chef's kiss. I wanted to see more of her. I want to see more of her in this franchise because she absolutely destroyed it. And she is one of the characters that I absolutely loved. I think she is one of my favorite characters that we have in the franchise, aside from Keanu Reeves, John Wick, and Winston. So she's probably like she's probably like my third favorite character in the series, but I just want to see a lot more of her because she absolutely destroyed it. Going into this film, I wanted to see how a lot of the things that were set up at the end of the second one was going to play out. And while I absolutely loved the way that it played out in the opening, I kind of wish that was something that was drawn out from beginning to end, because we have John Wick going to see somebody only known as the Elder, trying to get that contract revoked, and that kind of took the wind out of my sail just a little bit. Whereas I was not invested in the motivation as to why John Wick was getting back into the business at the beginning of John Wick Chapter 2. In this movie, I kind of wish that we had that contract play out just a little bit in the streets of New York, but also you don't feel like people are scared of John Wick. Like once the contract goes up, everybody is ready to take him out. But that is something that kind of gets stuck in the shuffle. But also, this movie has a lot of moments where you kind of have to stretch your disbelief. And this movie gave me the biggest BS shot that we had since The Legend of Hercules. Although that movie was a whole movie of BS, the ending of that movie definitely made me raise some eyebrows, and this movie made me raise an eyebrow too, because at the end we see John Wick falling from high up in the air, basically hitting every single pole, slamming down into the trash can, and then somehow he miraculously survives. When I saw that the first time, I'm like, I'm calling out bullshit on that, because that is not supposed to happen. Plus, it was also kind of planned as a trilogy, and I kind of wished it stayed that way when this film came out. When this film came out and I saw the ending, I'm like, okay, there's going to be a 4. I kind of wish that they did plan it out as a trilogy, but seeing the early reviews for this movie got me excited, knowing that this is not going to be a Jason Bourne situation where the first 3 are fantastic and then the 4th one is just passable. So it looks like they're going in the right direction, but that was one of the biggest concerns that I had when I first saw it, and it's still one of my biggest issues about this movie. Just the way that this film ended. I really liked the fight at the end. That was fantastic. The cinematography, Angelica Houston, who pops in for a little bit, is fantastic. There were just a couple of nitpicks here and there that I thought could have done better or shortened down just a little bit, but this movie brought back the magic that we felt in that first John Wick. Whereas I enjoyed the second one, this movie kind of brought us back into that basic world and basically still gave us that expansion of this world, giving us new characters, different action sequences, and stylized fights where you have a lot more gunfire, a lot more martial arts here and there, and it definitely brought it back to what we loved about that first film. But overall, I'm going to go ahead and give John Wick Chapter 3 Parabellum a 9 out of 10. It was just absolutely fantastic. This movie definitely struck the lightning that we had in the first movie, the magic that we felt in that first film that kind of was lacking just a little bit in that second film. But overall, I really enjoyed this movie from beginning to end. The action sequences are fantastic, and I can't wait to see what they do with John Wick Chapter 4. But those are my thoughts on John Wick Chapter 3 Parabellum. What are your thoughts? Are you guys excited for John Wick Chapter 4? Go ahead and drop those thoughts in the comments below. And if you like this video, go ahead and click that like and subscribe button so you don't miss out on more. Click that bell notification so you get notified every single time that a video pops up. And we'll catch you guys on the flip side.